Hey guys, Homeboy601, and we are back with our best and worst series. Today, we are doing best and worst tier 7 German battleships. That's right, we got this comment, which is going to serve as our comment of the day, from Grisbin. He says, can you make a video comparing the Oden versus the Turbots? I'm wondering which I should buy. And let me tell you, Grisbin, I got you covered because I'm adding one more ship to the lineup. We are also adding the Bismarck, so I got you covered. Now, if you've never seen a best and worst video, the concept is simple. First, we compare the best and the worst ship according to a numeric value based on a spreadsheet. We go through all the stats. This time it's going to be a little bit different than normal. Basically, if one of the three ships is the best at the class, it gets plus 1 point. If it's the worst, it gets minus 1 point. And if it ties, then no points are awarded. A lot of ties come up in this one because, of course, Tirpitz and Bismarck are sister ships, so they do share a fairly large number of stats. So, without further ado, and then once we compare these two ships, we give a number, talk about the best and worst by the numbers, then we go back and I give my opinion, and you guys are more than welcome to disagree with me down in the comments below. With all that said, let's go ahead and dive on in with what is considered to be the worst of the ships. So, by paper, and this one kind of surprised me, it's actually going to be Bismarck. That's right. So, she has hit points of 69,200 with armor varying between 19 and 360 millimeters with a 22% torpedo reduction. She has 4 two-barreled guns that are 380 millimeters and a firing range of 17.3 kilometers. Reload time, slowest of any of the ships, 26 seconds, with giving her a shell sprint of 18. 180 time on those guns, 36 seconds, with an HE damage of 4,400. DPM, 79,200. Chance of fire is going to be 34%, giving her a 73.5% chance to set fire per salvo. AP damage for the Bismarck, 11,600, with giving her a DPM when firing AP of 214,150. Her secondaries, and oh boy, is this where she shines. Well, I would consider her to have some of the best secondaries in the game. What I would consider to be her primary secondaries is going to be 8 two-barreled 105 guns with a base firing range of 7.5 kilometers. Her other secondary big guns are going to be 6 two-barreled 150s. They're going to have a reload time of 2.5 and 5.5 seconds respectively, doing 1,200 and 1,500 damage and having between a 5 and 8% chance to set fire. Now, unfortunately, Bismarck does not have any torpedoes, and that's why I think it really suffers in this category. AA range, her maximum AA range is going to be 4.5 kilometers with a minimum damage of 133 damage per second and a maximum being the highest at the tier at 374. She is the slowest of any of the three battleships at only going 28.8 knots with a turning radius of 850, matching her sister ship. Rudder shift time, 16 seconds. Detectability by sea, 15.4 kilometers. By air, 12.3. And when firing in smoke, 14.1. So that's where the Bismarck stats are to land it as the worst ship of the group on paper. Now let's go ahead and talk about what is, according to paper, the best ship of the three, and that's going to be the Oden. So Oden got that fresh coat of paint this week, and let's go ahead and talk through its stats. It does have the least amount of hit points of any of the ships at 62,700, matching armor thickness between 19 and 360 millimeters with a torpedo reduction of 22%. She does have three-barreled guns, giving her the most barrels of any of the ships at 9, but she does have a lower caliber at only 305 millimeters. The firing range on those guns is going to be 15.2 kilometers. Reload time, though, quickest of any of the ships at 20 seconds. That gives her a shells per minute of 27. 180 time on those guns, pretty snappy, fastest of any of the battleships at 27.3. HE damage is going to be lower than any of their ships at 3,600, though that shells per minute is going to make up for that deficit, giving her a DPM of 97,200 with a 34% chance to set fire and the highest chance of fire per salvo, given once again to that largest number of barrels at a 77% chance to set fire every time you fire a full salvo. AP damage, once again, lowest damage per shell at 9,400, but the DPM is once again the highest of any ships because it has that extra barrel and lower reload time at 253,800. The secondaries on the ship, she does have 6 2-barreled 128mm guns and 2 3-barreled 150mm guns, both having a firing range of around 5 kilometers and a reload time around 7.5 seconds. Guns are going to do damage between 15 and 1700 damage and have 5 and 8% chance to set fire, respectively. Now, Oden does have access to torpedoes. She does have 2 4-barreled torpedo launchers, one on each side, with a reload time of 90 seconds. Each torpedo is going to do 13,700 damage with a detectability range of 1.3 kilometers. Speed on those torps, 64 knots with a range of 6 kilometers. AA range, she does have the highest AA range of any of these battleships, 5.2 kilometers, though she does have the lowest minimum damage at only 74 damage per second and a maximum damage per second of 322. Max speed of the ship is 30 knots with the tightest turning radius of 790 meters. Rudder shift time is going to be 14.1, making her once again the most maneuverable of any of these ships we're talking about today. Detectability by sea is going to be 14.6 kilometers, by air 12.2 kilometers, and in smoke 11.9. And let me just say, I do really like the Oden. She is just she just feels like a slightly more powerful Chart Horse. And you know what? She's a fun ship, and I understand why she ended up at the top of the rankings. However, she isn't my personal favorite for this. So first, let's go ahead and talk what I think is the worst of these 3 ships. And it's actually the one we haven't mentioned yet, and it's going to be the Tirpitz is the one that I think is just the worst of any of these ships. As far as hit points go, it does have the most, beating out the Bismarck by a full 100 hit points at 69,300. Armor thickness matching the other 2 ships, between 19 and 360 millimeters of armor with a 22% torpedo reduction. She does have the same 4 2-barreled guns that the Bismarck has at 380 millimeters. She does outgun the Bismarck by a full 0.1 kilometer in range. Reload time is going to be 25 seconds and shells per minute giving you 19. 180 time on those guns matching Bismarck at 36 seconds and HE damage of 4,400. Chance of fire on those guns, 34%, giving her a matching 73.5% chance per salvo. AP damage, same as Bismarck, 11,600, giving her a DPM of 214,154. As far as secondaries go, she does pretty much match up to the Bismarck, with the key difference being the significant reduction in range at only 5.5 kilometers of range on those secondaries. She does also, the thing that differentiates her from the Bismarck, or that's supposed to, is that she does have the torpedo launchers where Bismarck does not. She does have pretty similar torpedo launchers other than in placement to the Oden, 2 4-barreled launchers with a reload time of 90 seconds. Damage on those torpedoes, 13,700. Detectability, 1.3 kilometers with a torpedo speed of 64 knots. Range on those torps, well, it's going to be 6 kilometers. AA range for the ship, 4.5 kilometers, matching the Bismarck, and she does have the best minimum damage of any of the ships, beating out the Bismarck by 1 damage per second, 134 compared to 133 on the Bismarck, though she does have the lowest max damage at only 239 damage per second with her AA. She is the fastest of any of the ships, 30.5 knots with a turning radius of 850 meters and a rudder shift time of 16 seconds. Detectability by sea, 14.7 kilometers with a detectability by air of 12.3 and a detectability but in smoke of 14.1. Overall, I think the Tirpitz just suffers from the fact that she isn't the Bismarck. The Bismarck has received multiple buffs to her guns. While they're not in the stats, they are with dispersion and accuracy. And as we know, that is one of the Achilles heels to German battleships. It is their accuracy, and Tirpitz just doesn't have it where the Bismarck does now, and that's why the Bismarck is my favorite ship of these three. We've been over the stats already, so we won't go over them again, but I think Bismarck is the happy medium between all of the ships. Yes, she doesn't have torpedoes, but those secondaries are so much fun, and the buffs that she's received to her main guns no longer make her the absolute, like, yes, she doesn't have, she's still not a sniper, but her guns are usable now. And that means you can play her as a regular battleship, and the whole buff of her, the whole point of her, is now that she has those 10-kilometer ranged secondaries. So she has good enough guns now, and you just get a sort of bonus in the fact that you have those secondaries. You don't need to lean on them. Yes, you can build out into them, and that's what I do, because you could play any other battleship if you want to use the main guns as like the end-all be-all. But no, if you're in a Bismarck, you want to build it for secondaries because it's fun to play that way. That's where I find the Tirpitz lacking. The Tirpitz, like, the secondaries aren't there. Yes, you have the torpedo launchers, but by the time you get close enough, I usually feel like you've kind of ended it. Now, also one of the things that I was noticing today, I don't know if this is, I've kind of only used the Tirpitz a couple of times. It's like, okay, that it wasn't my best purchase. One of the things I noticed today is I kept on getting the torpedo launchers knocked out. They are on the midsection of the ship, which does give her better firing angles than, say, the Oden's torpedoes. You have a wider range, but they are definitely in a more vulnerable position that I found them being knocked a significant more than the Oden. So there is that trade there. So yeah, guys, that's kind of my opinion. Bismarck is going to be my favorite, Tirpitz my middle, and the Oden. And if we have to go back to Grisbin, if I had to buy either the Oden or the Tirpitz for 750 global XP, I'm buying the Oden. I think Tirpitz, once again, too close to the Bismarck, and I think what you give up to get the Torps on the Tirpitz, absolutely not worth it compared to the Bismarck. Guys, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.